Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. We are live Monday, January the 27th, 6:34 p.m. Thank you guys for being live with us. About 20 people live. Thank you for your support. I'm here with John. We're going to be discussing today a lot of topics brewing in the OCSC community. Definitely, we're going to be talking about lifting the first trophy of 2025 for the Lions, the Inter and Co Cup in their face of Atletico Mineiro, which came to do their preseason to Central Florida and went home with just the bill, just the bill of the hotels, of the parks, of everything. We got it all. We got the money, we got paid, we got the cup. So start on the right foot. Cesar Araujo stays for 2025. We'll talk about that. Back in for Zendejas. He's a puppy guy. So that picture got leaked on the interwebs of Zendejas hugging Poppy. Is he on his way over? We'll talk about that and more. The future is purple. We'll talk about how Caraballo did, Colin Gusky, and more. And also, obviously, Cesar Araujo and Wilder Cartagena with obviously unfortunate news. And also, I got some clarification from the club that we'll discuss today. John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
I'm good, man. Yeah, we're back at it. We're back at the stadium this week, of course, on Wednesday. I was there freezing my butt off watching USA versus Costa Rica, and that was a 3-1 win. And
Mm-hmm.
then it felt very different on Saturday when we were all there watching Orlando City versus Atletico Mineiro, and it was a bit warmer, and I was there, in my jacket, and at one point I went down to my t-shirt. It was really nice on the wall. It was all sunny. So I had a great week. It was good to be back in the stadium. And we lifted a cup already, Luis. So should we just call it there? Is that 2025? We've already got a trophy, right? Like, let's just go home, right?
The
No.
2025
But
Inter and
hey,
Co.
it
It's a
was a good
horrible cup
start.
too.
It was a good start, and I loved seeing all this youth out here. So I'm excited to talk about that and everything else on today's agenda.
Yeah, we could have definitely, um, I don't know. I just feel like, it's the start of the year with a cup. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. They think I'm just, poking fun, but it is indeed a cup. It is a cup that's going to go into our trophy, count. So Inter and Co. Cup. So now I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel I got a lot of mix. There's been a lot of mixed reactions of this. Some people say, hey, we should have never played like this is a real game. We should have taken it easy. Now we got a bunch of injuries and knocks and things like that. Obviously, Robin Jensen and Nico Lodero did not play this game because they were already with some knocks, and Oscar and the staff said to them, "Hey, you probably want to just stay home. Just trying to try to relax. Watch it from the website, and we'll be in touch." Type of situation. But the kids did not disappoint. There was an Atletico Mineiro team, and it shows the growth of the league. I do want to say, because I mean, this is an Atletico Mineiro team that came with all their stars, came with all their star power, with Hulk, with Daverson, with they were no kidding. I mean, they thought they were gonna probably this be a walk in the park, and they were gonna go to the parks and enjoy themselves and have a great preseason in Central Florida. But then here comes Orlando City with a 16-year-old kid, right, in their starting lineup, pretty much telling them, "Hey, this is our turf, dude. Like we ain't playing around here. You may think this is a friendly, but hey, I'm here to show you that we ain't no club. You just stomp around." And to me, that attitude is the attitude that we got to carry throughout the whole entire season. And I think that's the core of our values. That's our club values right there in front of the whole entire world. knowing the buzz that has created around the world, it's been tremendous. Cruzeiro fans are bullying Atletico Mineiro fans because they lost against Orlando City, which is a small for them a small MLS club, right? And beat them with their own cup. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. To me, it was a positive result. If we would have played, John, and I'm asking you this question, if we would have played as this just being a friendly, people would have not been happy either way. People would have criticized Oscar, said, "Hey, here we go, puppy out again." You know what I'm saying? And so it's a no win for the club, no win for the brand, no win for the players. So injuries are going to happen. I don't know how you feel about this Atletico Mineiro match that happened just a few days ago.
I mean, I love that you started talking about the youth first. So I'm
Yeah,
going to talk about that because that's really what I thought was great in this
it was
game.
fantastic.
I pulled up here the article, Luis, of when Gustavo Caraballo, the young Venezuelan kid, was signed. It was actually back. He was signed for OCB from the academy back in 2023. So he's been playing at OCB for a while, and it was, really a surprise to see him in the starting lineup, but I mean, he held his own and he had some great moments. He almost scored. I feel like he was so close there. And he's probably cursing himself that he didn't score that one. It would have been an amazing moment if he had, but not only him, we're talking about Alex Freeman, in the chat here, Banjo saying Freeman really impressed me. I mean, I totally agree. I think he played a great 90 as well. Late in the game, Luis, it was all just a lot of OCB guys out there. It was like Kyle Smith and the kids, and so you love to see that. I think there was some great moments. I think overall, we just lacked that quality to really we could have won that game, 2-0, 3-0 even if we just put our chances away. I think we created a lot better chances than Atletico Mineiro. But it's also, you have to take all of this with a grain of salt because it is just preseason. And, these injuries that you're also concerned about, I think that's just going to happen. It's going to happen in the season. It's going to happen in preseason. Guys are going to come back from, being away, and they're going to have just a bit of off-season rust that they got to work off. Sometimes it'll lead to injuries, like Muriel, was out there and then he might have pulled something or something happened to him. So, it's like, okay, now we bring you off because it's preseason. We're not going to push you for no reason. This is just what it is. And I think at the beginning of the season, many years in preseason, Luis, we've had injuries or issues. And we have a whole month for these guys to come back. So, we don't want them to miss all of preseason, but it's going to give more chances to a lot of young players. The preseason schedule has got a lot of games after they come back from this camp away. So there's going to be a lot of chances. And I think that's good because one of the issues last year, Luis, was we didn't have enough guys, in backup positions, I think, in certain areas. Weren't giving enough chances out to other guys. So the more play time they can get now in preseason gives them more chances to potentially get minutes when the actual season comes up and Oscar feels like he can trust them. But I think a lot of positives out of this Atletico Mineiro, first game of the season, and the youth being the main one. What are your takeaways from the game, buddy? And what did you find was interesting?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Alex Freeman, from the start, you could tell this is a player that we could have used last season. We could have used him last season for sure. Sakata as well. These are kids that, are also playing for a spot in the first team. These are Thomas Williams. These are kids that we should have seen, I feel, a little sooner than now. But I think now we're going to see him more because we have no option, But I mean, it tells you also a lot about, trusting the process, and with Luis Musi and Moreira kind of talk about, they just play with a lot of, I know it's going to sound weird, but they play a lot of balls, man, balls of steel, like Duke Nukem. They play with a lot of balls of steel. They were not afraid facing Hulk and all these name big guys from Brazil. And I love that. I thought that was awesome for the fans to see. Unfortunately, yes, we got unfortunate news about Will Durble, which touch in just a moment. And I'm gonna go ahead and read some comments before going with the footage for the actual match. Stream Jesus says, "I hope we still continue to do FC series with Brazilian teams. So many good moments so far. Flamengo at home is definitely one of my books." Zokata was cooking in the first half, says Daniel Phillips, for sure on that left wing. Yeah, it kind of took the Brazilian player. The Brazilian player was like, "Yo, like, really? Like, I don't know this kid. Like, like for them playing Orlando was just like any other game, And for Orlando, they play with like if it was a final, which is it was really good. Kyle, defensive midfielder, masterclass loading, possibly. We don't know just yet. Banjo Freeman really impressed me for sure. We should try for Rocco Reitz from Borussia Mönchengladbach to replace Wilder. It probably is good idea. Yeah. Great team as well. Borussia Mönchengladbach. Miss Francis, good evening, all. Thank you, Miss Francis. Appreciate it. Facu first goal for Palmeiras. That's right, and he did it with his left foot, which is not surprising. Good evening, boys. Good to see y'all, says David Albert. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. The team is probably sipping margaritas right now. I really don't know, but I know that they're getting a lot of good workout. We have the actual footage right here on our YouTube channel for the actual game. So let's watch it real quick here. Appreciate to everybody that's
as a former cable.
1 second, let me just get rid of the commercials. But here we go. We got a new 10, John. What are your thoughts of Ojeda? Pretty much just taking the number 10.
Yeah, that was announced like right. I was on the way to the game and they put that out. I mean, obviously because it's gonna preseason, they're wearing their numbers for this one. So he came out in the 10 jersey. I mean, I think we said, it was always the plan to have him be that like Facu replacement, and now I think it makes sense. But he is more of a 10. I think he suits better the attacking mid role than the winger role. So he's kind of a 10 on the pitch, and he's 10 in number now. It's a lot on his shoulders, so let's hope he can step up. I think we saw a lot of good signs last season, though, that says that he's ready to take on that responsibility. And he had some really good moments in this game for sure. I think, though, it's going to be interesting, Luis, because I think it really says that we're not looking for another number 10, right? We know
Right.
all reports, and this kind of just verifies that, is like, we are looking out for that new Facu winger replacement DP. And I think, even though we would love Evander, unless Ojeda's stolen away from us, I don't think there's any chance of us going after a number 10 like that unless we, lose the one we have right now. It's going to be Ojeda, and I think he's great for that role. And we need to make sure that we're got the other pieces around him to so he can supply the balls and they can put them away.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, we discussed it at the show in previous episodes. It was kind of the tides going that way, with Ojeda being the number 10. Also, Muriel will be Muriel is going to be a backup for Ojeda. I mean, Oscar said, if Muriel has to suit up to be a replacement 9, he'll do that, but he's a 10 pretty much. So that's your backup. So in the depth chart, he should be regarded as a central attacking midfielder. Now, the good thing is, for looking at the footage also for the training in Mexico today, I don't know if you guys saw, but Duncan is training with the team. So maybe Duncan has, gone, probably ate a sensu bean, and, he may be ready before the season starts, John,
I mean, look, when they were like, yo, Duncan, like, there are a few things. One, the man played games after his shoulder thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't, it wasn't like so debilitating. It's just the medical staff, remember, told him, like, look,
Yeah.
you should get this fixed because it's happened twice where his shoulders popped out. So they said this is a good time to do it, right? Like as soon as the season's over, we'll get it done. Then you're, using up all your time recovery in the off season. And so I think that's really like, they're like, oh, it's going to be, March. Often when, they're punching far on these things, and if it's really bad, it will take longer. But for someone like Duncan, I just feel like the man heals quickly. He's Superman America. So I feel like he's gonna be back, man. And I don't think they're gonna bring in another striker. And I think that says a lot. Maybe now that Jack Lynn's gone, we're gonna get like a youth striker guy. But I
Yep.
think they're quite happy just to, like you said, they'll put Muriel up there like we saw against the Let's Go Minero. There's other options of guys that can play striker. I think they're just gonna wait out the Duncan return for sure. I think it is the plan for him and Enrique to kind of be those two options up top.
Yeah, I do feel like that's where it's going to go. And we have some words from Oscar Pareja and Alex Freeman. And honestly, I'm going to say this. I feel super proud for Alex Freeman. I think he has a lot of potential. It sounds kind of, I remember when the fandom got excited when Mikey Holiday, got the first team, dibs. And unfortunately, injuries didn't pan out, and he missed a lot of time. But I feel like Freeman is going through a same path, and I feel like he's definitely going to have some first team minutes. So
the circumstances that we just started the preseason, and having this match and the competitiveness that the boys showed today was first class. We're happy. We're ready to leave to our camp and keep going. But it was good. Good to see our fans as well in the back of our goal today.
Go ahead, Alex.
Our first match of the year, first preseason match. I feel like as a team we did really good. The young guys really showed how to run fierce. I also feel like everyone as a whole, feel like as a team, even though we only had 2 weeks to train, I feel like we really connected. And yeah, at the end of the day, we ended up winning in penalties. So that's the goal, is for us to win every game. And so it's starting like that this season, which is perfect.
now I love the competitiveness of Freeman. I don't know, what are your thoughts regarding Freeman, and do you feel, John, that he's going to have first time minutes this year?
When Wilder went off injured, I really thought they were like, Dagger was on the sideline warming up, and so was Kyle Smith. And I thought, oh, maybe they're gonna put Dagger in at D mid, because we forget like he can play there, so that's another option. But then they put Kyle Smith in there, so I think there is a lot of competition for right back. I think Dagger is still going to be that starting right back for them. I think, like Alex says in this interview, he needs to work on his defense. I think that's something that's always been like his sort of weakness. Like he's a right attacking wing back. He's like a winger almost, and so he needs to get his defense down. He played well against Atletico Minero, but I still think he's probably going to be a guy that we bring in 60, 70 minutes to like try and change the game and use his pace and kind of get in behind and get around players on the outside. I don't think he's going to start a huge amount of games this year. No.
Now, what are your thoughts? We also saw Pedro Galese. Obviously, we saw the penalties for Pedro. Look at this, man. After Daverson, which is one of the top players there in Mineiro, just completely just threw it to the wall. Pedro did this. And that's how hilarious. Well, we have somebody else to take penalties now, John.
And then the other keeper took one too. I was like, wait, what is up with this? Are these guys just having fun? Are they like, we don't get to take penalties? Because I love them, but like, really, you're telling me that the two goalkeepers on both teams were the best option to take the fifth penalty? I don't know. I think they're having a little bit of fun there personally, but maybe they were the best options. But it was a good penalty. Both of them scored, right? So.
Yeah.
Sometimes you forget goalkeepers, they know how to take a penalty because they face so many penalties. But they were good options. I just thought it was funny that both of them took a penalty.
Pedro, in several interviews in Peru, said, in this offseason, he said that he has played as a striker before. He played as a six before. He's played as a winger, in his youth years. So he definitely knows how to score some penalties. Now, I think obviously I really highly doubt he's going to do this in an official game. Aside if it's really needed, but obviously it was great to see. And then I got a lot of. Obviously I put on there, Orlando City humbled Atletico Mineiro because every single tweet, you know, text from my colleagues from Brazil was like, how much Atletico is going to win, the score is going to be 3-1, 2-1. No one was seeing that Atletico was going to lose, and I just feel like it was, to me, humble pie for Atletico, because the way the fandom, when they reached, when this news were announced over there, it took everybody by surprise. They didn't see this coming. So it's a humble pie, knowing the sense of the score. Obviously, it's a draw, went to penalties. I feel like friendly games should not go to penalties, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, John, but either way, Orlando won the
Yeah.
cup, all of that. But I just feel like it's humble pie because I felt like they underestimated Orlando City, and they got another thing coming from young kids, and it shows the growth of our academy and the growth of the league. So fantastic. So let's read some comments. Alonso says, bring back Felipe Martins. Oh, cracky. There you go. That training top is absolute flame, says Daniel Phillips. Donnie Moore, if we lose Ojeda, might as well raise the white flag on the season. We need additions in a big way, both from getting better on field and to get people to buy tickets. Totally agree. And their balls are as big as Diego Luna's, though. We'll see. Well, that was actually really cool, though, what Diego Luna did, though. He definitely got a spot in Pochettino's heart. I hope, I already read that comment. Now, close of transfer window, John, it's April the 23rd. Obviously, the preseason's already underway, John. I feel like there's going to be additions coming. Like the club said, they're working on another DP for Facu, to replace Facu Torres. I don't know. You feel like people are saying that we need additions and they want to see them now. I see them kind of maybe adding a couple of more pieces, but I don't see them making big splashes. I don't know. What are your thoughts regarding that?
Well, a few things. One, I kind of excited by some of these youth players, but like how,
Yeah.
in preseason's great, but how ready are they for like real, minutes in MLS? That's sort of my question. I think we do have a few areas of depth that are definitely problems. Of course, the big issue right now is like we need a DP winger. I do feel like they're working, night and day on that. I
Mhm.
feel like we don't hear anything, but that doesn't mean that things aren't happening. I think that we just got to be patient. Like we said, I would love that they get here before the beginning of the season. If we kind of get them signed in the next 2 weeks, and then they get their visa or whatever, if they're coming from abroad, it's going to take at least another 3 or 4 weeks to figure that out. So we'll have to see what's happening, right now. So it's gonna be interesting. I think we just gotta wait and be patient and see what this DP winger brings us.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we had some news. When it came to Cesar Araujo, right? That was the first spot that we got. Hold on one second. Oh. We got the first news here. Hold on one second. Cesar Araujo is staying with the club, right, John?
Yeah, man. Cesar is staying with the club. I mean, it's great news. I think he's here for 2025. I think that It's what we need. We need a bit of stability right now. I don't want to lose him. I think we need him here. I think it's good. I think obviously he's interested in going back to Nacional. Nacional interested in him, but right now he's under contract with us. So in order for them to pay his transfer fee at the moment, I just don't see it as realistic. I don't think they're gonna want to do it. I think it's too much money. I don't know exactly how much he's valued at the moment, but I just think it's too much for Nacional to pay all his wages and all that transfer fee. So for us, it's like we're going to hold on to him. He's agreed to that. We'll see what happens in terms of developing situations. Like maybe in the summer, Nacional want to come in for him with like a 6 months, out contract agreement to begin play this time next year. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe we manage to get him down to another contract, and he says, I don't want to leave. But for right now, he is here for 2025. He's valued at 3.1 million at the moment, Luis. So I don't think Nacional got close to what we want for him. And I think at the moment, we're just saying, you're going to stay here for another year. And it's a developing situation that, I'm happy he's going to stay. Let's just hope that he's going to play with his head down and not, potentially be upset by this, issue of not moving if he really wants to move. I'm not 100% sure on his position on this.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like, he just wants to be closer to family, but it also gives the club a couple of things. It gives the club the opportunity to create a better offer in which, he can definitely, say, hey, this is a really good offer. This is as the best offer I can get. Now you have to see, Wilder is out. So he's definitely going to be he's going to be the guy in the D mid position. So minutes he's going to get. And right now, when people say, hey, but you don't want to have an unhappy player here. I don't think he's unhappy. I think it's better for his sake to have a great season with Orlando, because then he's going to get a lot of offers, So he's playing not only for him and for a better contract, probably in Brazil or in Argentina in a top club, but he's also, if that's what he wants, or he's playing, to elevate his game and, maybe make it to the National League. So he's playing for not only himself and his pocket, but he's also playing for the club because, he likes Orlando, and there's no doubt that he loves Orlando, and the reasons that he maybe feels like, those reports from Uruguay saying that he wants to go to Nacional, it's mainly because of family, situations. But like I think we said on the pod before, and like I think you just mentioned too, Nacional, unfortunately, paying just 1 million down and then 5 easy payments of 300K in the span of 3 years, it kind of doesn't work for Orlando City. If you got the money, put it on the table type of thing, which it's our player still has a year left. So we are the ones who are setting, I think the club is setting the conditions on what favors them, which I don't blame them. So, and now in a way, after the Wilder situation, I feel like Araujo, it's such a relief that he's staying, definitely. Well, I mean, we can definitely go talk about that right now, or you want to just go through Zendejas, because I think Zendejas is the next.
Well, I think like this kind of ties into something I want to talk about, so it's a good time. I got the depth chart here, and I kind of updated it based on what we saw, from this preseason and what we've seen, obviously so far, and who's in camp. Some interesting things, obviously. Like Kyle Smith, I put right now in the D mid position because I feel like with his shortages, he's kind of just considered a D mid at the moment. He could be right back, left back, wherever we want him to be. It's Kyle Smith. Another one that's interesting is Joran Jabert. I think I missed an R in there. No, that's right. Jerome Joubert. He's a real Frenchman. It was really interesting if you watch the video that we just showed earlier with Alex Freeman, and you can see his interview. He was saying like in college and like before that in the French youth system, he loves being a double pivot. Like he's a number 8. Like he knows how to do that role. So I think it was interesting that he came in at one point and was playing that role next to Kyle Smith. So I think that is definitely a guy that we didn't know where he would land, but could be a fill-in first team potentially ready guy. Also, Colin Gusky got in there as well. He is obviously a bright talent. Again, another youth guy. Can he provide for the first team? Maybe. Could just be could just be an OCB guy. It's hard to say with these dudes. I mean, the same thing happened with Kaczewski last season, and he got some minutes, and then we let him go. So, you can't take too much stock in preseason, but if you're looking at who we have right now in camp, we've got a decent amount of coverage. Whether that coverage is quality enough, I think is the argument. DP winger on the right side is the massive one. We've got Ivan Angulo, of course. We've got Yusara Sukada. We saw Shaq Mohammed. There was a few other guys as well that I haven't got down in here. John Solis came out there. He didn't. I don't believe he got on the field. He might have done right at the end. Also, Nicolas Rodriguez is not here yet, but will obviously be joining as a right winger or a left winger, either one. I think Nicolas Rodriguez can also play striker. So maybe they're thinking about him as that. Maybe this DP winger that we bring in, if needed, we could put Rodriguez at wing and play him at striker if we're in desperate needs. So this chart really just kind of showing you what, where you could put players as like just one player in each position. But of course, they can play multiple positions and spread themselves out. But yeah, I think, Luis, there's some issues as well, like left back we haven't talked about. Tahiri Brown is the only other true left back outside of Rafa Santos is kind of a problem in my opinion. We really do need, I think, a left-footed, left-sided left back, a wing back who can do what Rafa does if Rafa's out. I don't think Alex Freeman is particularly like 2-footed like that. I think it's very different to put a right-footed right back guy like Mikey Halliday or Alex Freeman at the left back. You see what happens when you put Kyle Smith there. It's a much different role. He's playing like an inside, fullback almost, and it's just not really the same attacking threat that we have when we have a full left-footed wing back in that position. So for me, I would love to see another left back come in. Potentially a D mid, backup as well. And then, of course, that big DP winger. That's what I expect. So, Luis, what do you think about depth? Do you have any major concerns?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely we're looking at the, I wish I could see more of Tahir Reed Brown. I don't feel I've seen enough. And then with that being said, usually our trump card would be Kyle Smith there, but now Kyle Smith is probably going to be used on the D-mid corpse as well. So that to me, it's one that, Alex Freeman, maybe, I don't know if he plays left. I think he plays more right, but, I feel like we need to see Tahir, maybe in this preseason, a lot of closed off games. Hopefully he gets the chance to maybe have some minutes, but I feel like that could be maybe one of the additions that Orlando maybe should look into. On the right, I think that we are pretty packed. I feel like this is the season for Alex Freeman. He needs to show, and maybe Mikey Holiday as well, to show what they got. I think and then Dagger is going to be there. Cesar definitely going to be the head on the D mid. I feel like that we need some, I don't know if going with Duran Gerbey and Gusky are going to be enough because, Kyle Smith is a jack of all trades, but so maybe an addition there too now. I feel like somebody on the cheap, somebody that, it's not Nicolodero per se, somebody on the cheap, somebody that maybe with GAM, they could purchase. And I know people like 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, but I think that in this case, I think it could be an MLS proven type of player, that could maybe just be for the season. And then on the winger side, definitely the DP winger that we're going to get. I totally agree there. I think Nico Rodriguez is going to have a big impact. Unfortunately, his paperwork has not gone in time, his immigration, change of presidents and all of that. It takes a little longer than expected, but, he's going to join after preseason more than likely. I like Ivan Angulo there. Obviously, Yutaro Sukada, I feel like he's definitely needs to play this year as well. I think he's a talent that we should not just lay to waste. And then up top, I feel like we also need a 9. Maybe somebody that's able to be the third string 9. Because at the moment I feel Duncan, Ramiro, we may be cutting a little thin. And then maybe having Muriel, fill back, fill that spot. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel kind of just giving Muriel one task, John, just, hey, stick to the 10, stick to be the number 2 to Ojeda. And I think that's worked for us a little better, when it comes to matches. If you give him 2 things to do at once, I feel like that's going to maybe overwhelm him a little bit, even though I don't know how you feel, John, but I think he looks really good. He looks better than last season.
Muriel?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, until he pulled up with his hammy. He looked, I'm very hopeful, but I feel like it's a bit of a fool's hope. You know what I mean? I think I don't want to completely reside that he's not able to improve on last year, but it's, I think he's got to do a lot to do that. A lot. Like we got to see a massive jump up from him in his just overall fitness and his ability out there to be able to affect the game at a high level, so let's hope we can see that. But right now, I'm not looking, I'm thinking Ojeda's going to play the 10 most of the time. Muriel's going to come on like last season as the guy for the last 20 minutes. Maybe they'll move Ojeda to the wing or take him off, but I don't see us building the team around Muriel. And I think that just says everything about it.
All right, let's read some comments here. We have the club offer him to San Lorenzo. Says one. It's not the club. I think it's his agent. That's what it was. But it was reported from Diario Ole in Argentina. I really like seeing Friedman on the field. I hope he gets more minutes this season, says JCBs. Joran Gerbe needs to increase muscle. Lodera is now going to San Lorenzo. The club. Yeah, that's right. Yep. It says here, buenas noches, everyone, says JC Beast. People want to have full disclosure on Zendejas. So I don't know if we want to go over and kind of talk about Zendejas and what's happening there. He just, I mean, he had a great 2023-2024 season, but not so great 2024-2025, even though he just scored with America, obviously. But, I don't know how reports in Mexico are saying that they want crazy money for him too. So I don't know how you feel about that, paying crazy money for Zendejas.
Well, there's a few things. One, I've seen reports before, when we first were in for him, that they're not interested in selling their Mexican players, Club America. They want to keep all that, which is backs up what we've seen across the league. And so he is Mexican American, so there's reports of that. If that's the case, then they're going to put a really high transfer fee on him to kind of discourage teams from taking him, or if they do take him, they feel like they've got a really good deal and they can say no to. Right now he's valued about 5 million euros on Transfermarkt. So, I think somewhere in the 7 to 8 range would be okay for his age, and I think that might be the max. I think if we're paying 10 million and he doesn't work out, it's just a big flop. You know what I mean? It's got to be. I think he has got a lot of talent. I love that he used to be with Oscar in the youth national team, but he seems fairly inconsistent. And there's reports that his attitude isn't the best. I'm not saying I don't want the guy here. I think that he's got a lot of talent. I think he can do it. He's great at like being that 1v1 winger, and maybe that's just what we need in this team, right? When we're thinking about him as a Facu replacement, sometimes people are thinking like, oh, he's that guy that we're going to build the team around, like that kind of was when Facu was here. But if you remember, in my opinion, Facu was best when he's just like a player in a bigger machine. And so if it's really going to be about Martin Ojeda, then if Zendejas comes in and is bringing that, flair and creativity on the wing and can connect with everybody else, then that's really just going to be his role. So maybe that's what we need him for. But I'm afraid of paying too much, Luis, and him not working out. I do like the fact that he's 26. I think he's in his prime. But, how much is he worth? And, I think that Club America is an incredible club. It's a big club. He's done really well there. Is he going to be able to produce the same for us? But also those numbers for what he's done at Club America are not like amazing. You know what I mean? They're not incredible numbers. They're solid. But if he came to us as a DP and we're expecting him to replace Facu's numbers in terms of actual goals and assists, maybe he's going to be able to do that, but it's a lot. I'd hope he can, but this guy, I think has a lot of skills. Whether he's the guy who's going to put the ball in the back of the net every week, though, that's where my concern lies.
I agree with you. I think paying 12 million for this guy is preposterous.
I think anything over like 8 or 9 is too much. I think for
it's just
for who he is and that level of player, we could go out and get someone else for that money.
I would rather get Evander, to be honest with you, for 12 million.
I'd rather get Evander and play Evander on the wing. I'm sure he could do it. Honestly, I think he can play there.
Me too. I feel giving Nico Rodriguez a chance.
Yeah, unless Evander's like, I have to be the number 10, in which case, like, then that would be
right.
We can't do that with keeping Ojeda.
Then we can have Ojeda playing the wing.
Yeah, but there obviously there's like a bunch of wingers out there. There's a lot of options out of Europe, out of South America that we can go get for. If we're gonna spend 9, 10, like 11, 12 million, I'd rather someone else than Zendejas. I think Zendejas is good for like 5, 6 million, but he's not gonna appreciate in value. You know what I mean? Like he's only really he's gonna be here for the prime of his years. If he signs like a 3-year contract, when he'll be done, he'll be like 29. Yeah. So we're not gonna be able to sell him for that amount of money when he's 29. So it's got to be not insane amount of money, in my opinion.
I have full faith that he's not. I mean, anything past 6.5 million, I think it's overreach from Club America. And what I'm trying to say, it's I respect a lot Club America. I think Club America is a tremendous club. It's my favorite Mexican team. If I have a favorite Mexican team, it would certainly be Club America for sure. So I don't want to like knock them or anything, but there is the reason why Mexican players are not flourishing in Europe and they're not leaving Europe, and MLS players is because of their price. They put an unrealistic number on their players that it's just, if you can get an American that speaks the language, that can maybe perform a little better, that physically is a little bit more imposing, and it cost me 5.2 million rather than getting a Mexican player from the Liga MX for 12 million. Hey, I think I'm going to go with the American if I am like Feyenoord, or if I'm like, PSV, or if I'm, Besiktas or something like that, So that's the reason why you see more MLS talent leaving, because there's less egos here in Mexico, because they have more of like a soccer culture, and they feel like they're like the league to imitate in the region. They want to compare themselves to the top leagues in the world, and unfortunately they're not. And so they price their players. And same to me is with Zendejas. I mean, no one says that he's not a terrible player. He's a phenomenal talent. I just feel like Orlando has done deals that are conscious also, for what the player is worth and what they can sell it for. I think the sell of Facu Torres was the max maybe the club was going to get for Facu. So, and that's why they pulled the plug also, because they felt like, this is makes sense. And I don't think we're going to get with, anywhere with Facu, something of a larger number. So with Zendejas, they have to make the same decision, especially if he's going to replace Facu. So I agree with you on that, John.
I think
So,
also historically we've seen from this club that they are, with the most we ever spent was 7.5 million on Faku. So
mhm.
they're not going to go out and spend 10 million on this guy. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think if that's where the stance is with Club America, then we probably went back, because before they were discussing about, they had their manager was going and they didn't want to talk about it at all. So now we've gone back being like, hey, your manager isn't leaving. Is he like, can we talk about numbers? If they came back with 12 million, then we probably just walked away and said we're nowhere near, what we value him at. So I imagine that we've moved on to another target. I think, we'll probably hear in the next few days or week about who's next up in line, and they're working hard on a few different options, I'm sure, because this I know is a big need for the club, and I think that they are desperate to get that player in sooner rather than later, so that we can get him acclimated and get him in the roster. We got to fill that DP spot and fill it with the right guy, and you don't want to rush that for sure. Like, I don't want to just go out and get anybody. But so far, Luis, it's not. We went out for Zendejas. Wait, who was it originally? We went out for Zendejas originally.
Yeah, and
then after that we were in for, who was officially reported. I can't remember who was officially. Oh, we were in for Pasalic.
Yeah, Pasalic. Yeah, and then
so now we've reported. So there's so many rumors out there, but how many of them are actually players we actually approached the club about?
Right.
And there's not that many, but I do feel like we're, going to hear more in the future, of course.
Yeah, and again, the preseason already started for the club, so whether they get, they have till April 23rd, I believe. Yeah, April 23rd to get players. So they technically can get players April 22nd if they want to. It's not probably I wouldn't recommend that, but the preseason's already started, and the players that are in Mexico right now are the ones who are going to get their full preseason, and the ones that are coming later are not. And that doesn't guarantee also, and I will say this, that doesn't guarantee you a massive successful season, or it also doesn't guarantee you a terrible season. Again, last season it was the same situation in which, here we go, we lost players, we got injuries, and then we got to remain a little positive here, because in the end the club reached Eastern Conference Finals. I think people forget about that. I understand people are alarmed that there's not a lot of buzz going on, and if you guys focus on what Charlotte is doing, what Atlanta is doing, these are different markets. These are different teams. We work in a different way. Just because they're doing certain things, it doesn't mean that we're going to be doing certain things. I think the club, but they're kind of more invested on is what's good for the culture.
Atlanta, we're told they had 20 million for 3 of their DPs to go spend, right? And they brought in Moranchuk. Now they're bringing in Almiron back. Then potentially this Lath guy who's going to come in for like the whole of that 20 million per player budget. We're not that. We're not going out and spending 60 as much as I would love to be that.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Wilfs could spend more money. Maybe they will in the future. But under this organization that we have right now, we're about getting value for money out of players, and we're about going out and buying, youth players that we can, develop and grow, players that have slipped during the gaps, players that we, want. As much as people might not like that, Luis, they might not agree, they might be frustrated, they might say go out and spend more money. I just don't think this organization right now is going to go out there and spend that level of money. And that doesn't mean that we can't compete. I mean, look at last year, what we did with that squad. There's absolutely no reason why we can't go out and get a very efficient replacement for Facu. When you think about Facu in terms of like what he was doing in the team and, his role in the team, we can go out and find another winger that does the same things that he does. A winger that we already have in Nicolas Rodriguez. Like now, how good is he going to be? How much can he produce? How is he going to stack up at MLS? These things, are obviously different questions. But in terms of like the role in the team, we can definitely go out and find out more there. So I think, people should not be disheartened by other teams spending a lot of money. I think we're going to get it sorted out. And I have faith in this organization that has got us, a top 4 finish for the last 3 or 4 years, that they're going to put a team out there that can compete and be competitive. And Oscar can get, us up in the mix again, and we can be a top team in the East. I think that will happen. We just have to be patient. And I know when everybody else is doing stuff, that's like, I agree. I sit here the same thing, being like, well, what are we doing? So I understand that, but you can't compare yourself to other clubs, just like you can't really always compare yourself to other people in real life.
Yeah, for sure. Alonso Inca says Fabian Loyola needs minutes in the first team this season. Yeah, that's another depth addition that just did an assist in the under 20s in the South American under 20s tournament against Peru. Chile beat Peru 3-2, and Fabian Loyola had an assist. He
wasn't on the bench for Minera, right?
No, he was not. No, he's playing the Sudamericano.
So that's
the
why
under
he's
20s.
playing there right now. Okay.
Yeah, so he's playing with Chile right now, and he did really great. The first half, he was great. One of the best players there. Guy from Orlando City. Anything on Evander? Unfortunately, not right now. I think it's that cold at the moment. Pasalic, yeah, with Pasalic, we put this news that come out. That some of them are supported by Tom Bogert, some of them are from South America and other parts. And again, we just, we put them out, and it's a rumor, and some of them may pan out good, some of them may not pan out. Some people don't like anything, like you can Neymar too old, Messi, no, he playing Inter, I don't want him. A 20-year-old too young, so there's always a but, right? There's always something happening. With Pasalic, it was the same thing. Oh, well, the way he played in Borussia Dortmund, it was, underwhelming, and yeah, Pasalic is really nothing happened with him. 2025, the homegrown season, maybe. Imagine if we make it to the finals again. This is exclusive to Loud and Proud. Lodero is in Mexico. So, hey, Alonso's saying that Lodero is in Mexico. So that report from Daddy Ole right there, John, it's just trying to cause buzz, I guess, with the name
I
Lodero.
think we don't know 100%, but like the fact that the report said that we offered him out, that's like, again, that's like the most un-Orlando City thing under this administration.
That's
like,
not gonna happen.
We're not like, I don't see us out there being like, yo, we need to offer them out, like I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think that's something we needed to do with Nico. We're not like dying for those wages, in my opinion. I don't think that's necessary for us to do that. So it could be more that perhaps his agent offered him to them. We don't know 100%. This is just speculation, but that could be what's happened. And that's where they're getting this. And, like Alonso reported, he's in Mexico. He's a player for us right now. I think sometimes there's just smoke, Luis, and there's not actual fire. So this could be
for sure.
it would make sense to me. I think Nico would be interested in going, to Uruguay, of course, eventually, maybe, or maybe he'll just retire with Orlando City. I could totally see that as well. Like, it's not always a desired thing for players to return to their home nation. Sometimes they're quite happy to live out the rest of their career in MLS. So we'll see.
Now, I know that it's comparing peas with carrots, but I think it's very similar cultures in which how the club is kind of their direction the club is moving on a very strong foundation culturally when it comes to having a youth depth, a young squad with certain big names that are kind of like the captains of the team, you know. And I feel like Orlando is getting this backbone with Pedro, Robin. You know, you have Nico. You know, even Cesar now kind of taking more of the leadership role. You know, so Dagger on the wings, you know, with Kyle, you know, somebody that already knows the system of Orlando City, what it is to wear the badge and all of that. So I feel like that's kind of like where they're going, kind of like what John hinted in the beginning of the season, the under 22 model, you know, more of like the big name model type of thing. I feel like that's kind of fits more of who we are as a team. And I know people are very skeptical, and because they see all this again buzz from other teams and Austin with Brandon Vasquez and things like that. But you have to understand these are different markets. We are a market of its own, and I feel like you know, like Mark is saying right here, you know, totally off topic, but I've never seen our B guys. I thought I was impressed. So I mean, look how they prove Mark that we have depth. You know, the kids. You know, that he's never seen the OCB guys, and here he saw them against Mineiro, and look how he got impressed. So it's great. We're gonna get there. The season's long, you know, and who knows? You know, we may be getting players at this moment being the preseason we're really not even talking about, but they may be the ones that are going to carry the Orlando City flag throughout the whole season. Kind of like how it was Ivan last season playing the most minutes, and you know we had you know all kinds of buzz coming from the squad. Um, we have the OC Academy. I don't know if you want to talk about Caraballo. What a
Yeah, I
talent,
mean,
huh?
we talked about Caraballo. I mean, he's obviously son of a player
Hmm.
and coach Gustavo Caraballo. So he's Gustavo Caraballo Jr. I think it's just really cool, man, because I love that we're seeing players that are from like through the academy that have been like they have been grown up watching Orlando City as
Yeah,
children, and now they're getting to play for their childhood club that they support. And that is what soccer culture, that is what football culture is all
thank you.
about. It's generational, and that warmed my heart. And I was standing there next to a friend of mine, and he was telling me all about that he's friends with Caraballo's dad, and he's like, "Yo, this is crazy! Like been watching him play for so long. Now he's like out there on the first team. Like this is wild. Like, so I just love that generational stories are happening throughout our club now, and that brings I just love that. And Thomas Williams,
Thomas
well,
Williams,
another one that
phenomenal.
like he really looks like he's taken that step from being a kid into more of, he's looking more like a real man, I think, and he's got some size to him. That's kind of what you need as a center back. I think he's looking more bright. Colin Gusky, another one that just, smile on his face, loves being there, so happy to play for his club. He's a homegrown academy kid. And Alex Freeman, I think, the top of the list of, big prospects that we expect big things from this year and just shining through and through. So, yes, the OCB boys, the future is purple. Man, it's me, Luis. I love my youth, man. I love me some youth players. Academy ones are like doubled on top of that. Like I will always love a guy who's through and through and from, Orlando and cares about his club. And I think those players play harder for you. I think they matter more. I've been jealous for years of like Philly and, all these other like Dallas and like Seattle, all these other academies where they're producing all these top players. Why can't we do that? I think they've been putting a lot of hard work in over the years in the background, stuff that even we don't see. It's youth stuff that like academy structure, getting all the right coaches in, making sure everything's working. Oscar said it in the press conference. Shout out to all those guys, because now you're really seeing it with guys like Caraballo getting in at 16 and not looking out of place. That's the difference, right? If you'd have played, you know, not to throw anybody under the bus, but guys like Tommy Redding, right? Tommy Redding was like one of our first ever,
I remember that.
like youth prospects. And by
No,
the
quick.
time that guy got to like 20 years old, he still didn't look nearly as good as, Alex Freeman looks now at like 18. So it's all about the quality of the academy getting better and better so that when they get to that 16-year-old threshold, when they're on the brink of being able to come in the first team, their standard is already up here. So they're not having to grow, like take all those leaps and bounds. And you're seeing that more and more. And I think this game was an incredible example of that. And I just love having all the kids out there, man. I don't expect them to play a bunch in the season. I know like that's just not realistic, but if they're pushing the boundaries and trying to get minutes and being better, if they can fill out our squad, that's better. That's what I'd rather have. More young Americans who are academy players to kind of fight for places in the squad, I think is a great way to build out the rest of our roster. And let's hope that we see a lot of growth and minutes from these guys. And I'm personally going to try and spend more time this year going out to OCB games, Luis, because I want to come see the likes of Caraballo and these other kids week in week out, because that level I think has got better. And I want to see what they can do at the OCB and go and support them a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Donnie Moore, we used to get the big names with Kaká and Nani, though. Yeah, but I want to just ask you, I mean, not to knock Kaká down, but did we win anything with Kaká? I mean, yeah, we got, just being in the league, had one of the best players in the world for sure, but then we didn't really win any trophies with him. We can still get a Kaká. I feel like we can still get a Nani for sure, but it has to be the right fit now because it has to fit the way we play. Back in the day, it was just more of like getting that big name, and just build the team around that big name. Now, because we have the academy, we have all these formative youth clubs that are brewing from Orlando City. They play all the same way. So that's why you see these kids like Gusky and Caraballo and Freeman and Thomas Williams coming in and they're plug and play because they're already used to that culture, that Orlando City culture. Back when Kaká and even Nani came through, I mean, I think when Nani came through, the academy was already on, but it wasn't as ingrained as it is now in the system of the culture of Orlando City. But we can certainly get a big name. I just feel like right now we are more focusing on, okay, so what's more productive? Getting a $14 million 34-year-old or getting really three really good under 22-year-olds for that money, So, and I think the club is prioritizing that than just the name. To be honest, out of all the new young guys, who impressed you the most? One of you want to go, John?
I mean, I don't know if we qualify Alex Freeman as a new young guy, but I was really impressed with just how well he held down that right back position and his defense. And you don't forget this Atletico Mineiro team that was like stacked. It was like all out. Like they had
all out, man.
Hulk
With
and all their
Hulk and
guys
everything.
out there. So
Yeah.
it's I don't think they really held back like that. And I think I was impressed with the way that he held his own and just the energy he brings to that right side. I think he had a great game. And I think also Caraballo, I think, don't underestimate the fact that this is a 16-year-old kid who was out there playing against fully grown men and didn't look out of place. And I think that, he had some great moments and yeah, he got megged at one point and, he could have scored, but I think for him, it was just about being out there and, not being completely, schooled, right? Being out there and not looking completely out of place. And I think that he did that, and I was very impressed. And hopefully we get to see more from him. But overall, all the youth, I think, like we said, I mean, it was a win against a team that had their first team out there, and that whole last 20 minutes, Luis, that was basically just OCB and Kyle Smith. So I think that was great, and I think it shows how well our academy and the OCB squad are developing and growing, and hopefully can assist this season with more contributions.
For sure. Let's read some more comments. It says Alex Freeman has been ready since last season, says Alonso. Jeffrey missed a chance on getting Anthony from Real Betis. Real Betis beat OC to the living legend. There you go. Salty H2O. I was there, enjoying that game a lot. Freeman 100% says Mark Robinson. Did I miss the thoughts on Wilder being out? So yeah, so let's go into that. Obviously, if we would have played the game as if we wouldn't really care about this game, the team would have gotten clobbered, saying how dare them just play a crappy game. We got clobbered. We're no good. Alarms would have sounded of how bad the team is playing, and unfortunately, it happens. It's just part of the business. We saw this on, we saw first the pop that he got at the Mineiro. I don't know if you have that image. I don't have that image, John, but he felt the pop there.
Oh, yeah, I do have that one. Sorry.
Yeah, if you have that one, if you want to
Yeah.
pull it up. He felt the pop, and yeah, so we have no comment from the club. They just said that he's going to further evaluations, so there is really no nothing has been reported from the club itself yet. But right here, so this right here, yep. So that's the picture. So
Yeah, I
according,
mean, he was literally
yeah,
like carried off, like, and then he's
yeah,
got the boot on. Like, I don't think it's crazy bad, but I think they're just really taking a lot of precautions.
yeah. So there's really no comment from the club. I did ask when this happened if they had any sort of time frame. I told them about the reports that we're having. So the reports that are happening is a friend and colleague from Peru, Cesar Bivar from Ovacion, which is a big outlet there. He apparently got the scoop on Cesar's injury, and he mentioned that it was a tear of the Achilles tendon on his left foot. Now, if you look at the picture, the boot's on a different foot, but I don't know. It's weird. The thing is, we put it the way he put it on his Twitter. He said it was an Achilles tear. Now, we don't know if it's a partial tear, if it's a full tear. So, I mean, these are things that we need to take with a grain of salt, even though the guy's a good friend. I'm putting verbatim what he put on his report. He says that in Peru, they're saying that surgery is scheduled for Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and the recovery could be between 3 to 6 months. It kind of fits on a partial tear, not on the full tear, because a full tear apparently it's like around a season, so he'd be in the injury list pretty much. And he said that he's going to miss both matches with Peru. But, again, there's no official confirmation from the club. They reserve the right not to comment on these situations. And that's fine. And again, I do want to tell people, don't get upset at the club. It's just the way all clubs are, mainly now. They're going to put something out if they feel this is something that it's gonna definitely put him on the shelf. They're definitely gonna put something out, but at the moment, that's what has been reported, more than likely by somebody in the Wilder Cartagena world. Told that reporter, which is very well known there, and that's what he put out on his report on the injury. So for Wilder, so
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was gonna say if it is that, it's a good.
Yeah.
If it's partial, it's at least 3 or 4 months. It's longer than that. It's more. It's more than that. It's more than the
More than
season.
that, yeah.
So obviously this is just hearsay right now, and we want to wait for the club to actually say what it is and have that official statement.
Yeah.
But it would kind of track. I don't. It looked bad enough where he couldn't play at all. Like it was you're off immediately, and the look on his face was sort of,
Yeah.
and I think the way that he's been posting and he's smiling and stuff, but to me it's sort of you can tell that he's pretty bummed about the situation. So it could well be that is what happens. And if that is the case, I think it's a lot to be like, okay, we're gonna roll with who, like Cesar and potentially Jabert, potentially, Kyle Smith, maybe even Colin Gusky. Like I just don't think any of those guys are anywhere near the level that Cesar and Wilder are at. So the drop off is massive. I don't want to play Nico there. I don't think that works, in my opinion. I just don't think Nico is a great ball winning. I don't think he can do that D mid role. I just don't think it suits him. Yeah. So if he is out for that long, like 4 to 6 months, let's say, then I would really hope that we get somebody in to, replace him or who is closer to that level, because I think it's a big part of our, defense will be missing if we don't have that double pivot and don't have that same reliable sort of, cushion in front of our back four that we've been used to.
Now, this happened also in bad timing too. He's in the list of players that have no option beyond 2025. So he would be, after December of 2025, a full free agent. So if he's done for the season, that means that, either the club will kind of say, thank you so much, or they could offer him, they got the leverage to offer something a little different, or something a little more of like on kind of like they have the power of choosing, how much, in a way, okay, we're going to offer you this type of contract, you know what I mean? Or, again, this happened. This could have been a great season for him, you know what I mean? So imagine how he feels right now, last, pretty much in the end of his contract, not being able to showcase his talents to possibly either get more money or possibly, getting into another club, so now he's kind of in a limbo too. And he's not the only one, Cesar is on his last threat with no option. Same with Pedro, I believe. Same with Nico, and same with Kyle Smith. So, either way, I feel like the club's going to do what's best, not only for the player, but also for the club. So, but it is definitely something. It's going to be tough for Orlando to replace that double pivot. Now, can Shaq Mohammed, possibly fill out, and maybe Kyle Smith, I'm sure they'll have some moments, right? Gervais be that guy, maybe, we don't know yet. But do you feel, John, that they should go back into the free agent list, MLS free agent list, and maybe see who maybe they can poach for maybe some GAM or something? Do you feel like there is
we've still got another U22 slot, so I say go out and find another
U22.
Like if you think about what's happened in our D mid situation, like we've lost Kovacic, we've lost Heining Brutha, like that Brucettes never played a game. Heine, we've lost, we haven't got Felipe anymore, right? So it's just really like we already had to do something about that. And now if Wilder's out for this long, it's just like really, and Cesar was almost out the door. There's just so much turmoil in that position. We've got new players there available. Like we've got players like Kyle Smith, who, in my opinion, are just it's a secondary position for them. Like he could be okay at that, but he's never going to be amazing at that position. So I just really feel like we need some better blood in there. We need another option that's almost as good as Wilder and Cesar. And we've got that U22 open slot. I don't know if they plan to use it on someone else in the squad, but a great use for me right now would be to go out and find another D mid, especially if Wilder's going to be out for as long as we are speculating.
Yeah, for sure. So let's read some comments real quick. Look, look at this guy. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm sure you could tell there, John.
I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about,
To
Louis.
be honest, it says awful news about Wilder, but I feel Gervais did well for his first game with the team. Maybe he can fill in. Your thoughts? I
I mean,
believe he
it's like
did.
we said, maybe, but not
Yeah,
nowhere near the like. It's a
yeah.
big maybe, and it's. I think he's come from college. It's a big jump up,
Yep.
and I think it takes a while to close that gap. So
I will hate to see Cartagena's season end like this. I hope his recovery goes well. JCB's not even. Yeah, hopefully it is a partial tear. Hopefully, and it's just something that he's going to take a couple of 6 months, at least half a year to heal. The good thing is the club is not going to want him, especially if they feel like they're going to re-sign him. They don't want him to. They don't want to rush him either. You know what I mean? Dagger Dan was a CDM before. Could move him there and start Mikey
yeah,
again.
I
This
think
Drew
they could
Saw.
definitely consider that.
Yeah, they could do that too.
Considering how well Alex Freeman does look, they might well say if we don't want to replace him, then the option is to move Dagger and use Dagger there, which I don't hate that. I think Dagger has learned a lot about this league and can defend, and I think he would be a very, very decent, defensive mid if we need him to be.
Salty H2O, I'm not mad. Can tell competitive players to go out there and not give 110%. Yep. And that's what we're getting with these kids. These kids grew up watching Orlando City. They grew up, singing in the wall, and they grew up with the ILF and Ruckus, doing all the chants and the running on the wall, all these special moments that Orlando City has given you guys. And they're the product of that culture, and I think that's where the team is gearing towards, more than just being like Atlanta and just getting hey, we're gonna spend 30 million here in the budget and we're gonna get so yeah, I think they're thinking a little more inside the box. Yes, the climb is a steep climb, but who knows? We may have one of the top academies in the MLS, and we may be proving there are clubs like that, like Borussia Dortmund, for example. It's one of those, Barcelona, they have a top academy. Look, all these players that have come out, from Barcelona Academy. So, we may be, one of those academies that are putting out kids that, take names, and do great playing in the MLS. So we'll see. But I do feel like there's going to be a couple of more signings, especially for the needed spots. It says on July he can start to listen for other offers according to FIFA. So Wilder. That means Wilder.
Yeah,
And that means like
that's how
the
it
rest of the
works.
players as well.
6 months out, of course.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to everybody who is here with us today. If you are watching on X, I think we got about 130 people on X. I saw
Yeah.
last.
About 132 people.
All of you, please go ahead and drop a like on the video for us. That really helps us. If you could repost the video as well, that would be awesome, so more people can see and watch later. If you're on YouTube, please go ahead and like the video as well. We appreciate your support. We are on the march to trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you can get future notification whenever we do a video, whenever Luis uploads press conferences, or whenever we've got, highlights from preseason, or whenever we're doing a live pod like this. You guys won't miss out on there. You can also follow us at LPO_podcasts on X. You can follow us at the same place on Instagram as LPO or Loud and Proud Orlando, and on Facebook as well. We're also on Blue Sky. Look for Loud and Proud Orlando there. And you can always listen on Spotify, but we have video on Spotify as well now.
Yeah, video now.
And you can also listen on Apple Podcasts as well. Thank you to everybody, Luis, that's been here in the chat. We appreciate you all. It's been a really good episode. And I feel like we're going to see what happens next with this DP winger situation. We're going to hear what officially comes from the club on Wilder. And I think it's going to be a very busy, upcoming 4 weeks for the club before we start the season, as they look to fill in these spots and look to add where they need to add and get in the guys that we need.
Yeah, for sure. I want to tell everybody thank you for your support. Don't forget to, if you've watched this and you feel like you have a name or a player that we need to take a look at, we can definitely drop us a comment on the video after the fact. Helps us a lot with putting the any questions you guys may have that maybe forgot to put it in the chat and you just want to ask it after the fact. You can certainly drop us a comment. We'll read it on the next episode for sure, and answer you. And again, thank you for your support, and thank you to John. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you all soon. And vamos, Orlando.
Vamos, Orlando. Take care, guys.